What is up, everybody? Welcome back to another Pitching Ninja's filthiest pitches of the day. Remember, before we get to those pitches, hit that subscribe button. Join Ninja Nation. And now, without further ado, here are my filthiest pitches of the day. I'm going to start with Hunter Brown, who had 4 Ks and 7 scoreless innings. His fastball was up to 99 miles an hour and had vicious knuckle curves, including this one that got the sword. He faced Patrick Corbin, who had 5 Ks in 5 innings, giving up 2 runs, and had this nasty changeup. Chase Anderson had 6 Ks in 4 1/3 innings, giving up 3 earned runs, thanks to his fastball, changeup, cutter, and sweeper. And he faced Cutter Crawford, who had 5 Ks in 4 innings, giving up 4 earned runs, and got his Ks on these fastballs. You can see with that short arm action, that fastball gets on you really quick. Dean Kramer had 6 Ks in 6 innings, giving up 2 runs, thanks to his fastballs, including this elevated fastball. He outdueled Chris Bassett, who had 5 Ks in 3 innings, but gave up 8 runs. Bassett had this front door two-seamer, this elevated cutter, and this sweeper that kind of was lucky to get the call on. Jaime Barria had 2 Ks in 4 1/3 innings, giving up 3 earned runs, and had this slider. He faced Cody Bradford, who had 3 Ks in 4 1/3 innings, giving up 1 earned run, and had this changeup for a sword. Alex Cobb had 5 Ks in 4 innings, giving up 2 runs, and had these wicked splitters. He battled Jack Flaherty, who had 3 Ks in 4 1/3 innings, but gave up 6 runs, and had this fastball and slider. Tony Gonsolin had 6 Ks in 6 scoreless innings, thanks to his splitters. Opponents are hitting only 104 on his splitter, and this painted fastball, and opponents are only hitting 102 on his fastball. He outdueled Lance Lynn, who had 6 Ks in 5 innings, but gave up 4 earned runs, and had this fastball and cutter. Lynn's ERA on this season is a rather hefty 6.75. Joe Musgrove had 5 Ks in 6 innings, giving up 3 earned runs, and had these filthy curveballs. Those things are absolute hammers, as well as this changeup. A pitching matchup I was really looking forward to between Max Scherzer and Luis Severino turned out to fizzle out. Scherzer only had 2 Ks in 3 1/3 innings and gave up 6 earned runs, had this changeup and cutter, and Severino had 4 Ks in 4 2/3 innings, giving up 5 earned runs, and had this fastball and changeup. Jameson Taillon had 4 Ks in 6 innings, giving up 3 runs. He had this curveball and changeup, and got this K and near circumcision by the Ripper, putting Connor Joe on the eternal IL. He faced Luis Ortiz, who had 4 Ks in 5 1/3 innings, giving up 4 runs, and had these wicked sliders. Jordan Lyles had this curveball for a sword. Jalen Beeks was the opener and had 3 Ks in 1 2/3 innings, and had this nasty changeup. He battled Shintaro Fujinami, who was also an opener, and had only 1 K, but it was on this 101 mile an hour blazing fastball. My guess is some team is going to get Fuji and turn him into a stud. Corbin Burns had 8 Ks in 6 innings, giving up 3 runs, and he relied on his entire pitch arsenal of sliders, changeups, curveballs, and cutters, including this elevated cutter, this backdoor cutter, and got a sword on this cutter. Here's an overlay of Burns' cutter and slider, and you can see the big difference in movement of those 2 pitches and why they work so well together. He faced Pablo Lopez, who went 6 innings with 9 Ks, nice, giving up 3 runs, and had these fastballs, including this cheese at the knees, as well as his patented changeups and wicked sweeper. Zach Wheeler had 7 Ks in 6 innings, giving up only 1 run. He relied on this mix of fastballs and curveballs, as well as having this front door two-seamer that got the buckle. And to be honest, that was probably the filthiest pitch from a starter yesterday. That thing's nasty. I also did this overlay of Wheeler's two-seamer and sweeper, and you can see why you'd get a swing on that sweeper out of the zone. That two-seamer and sweeper change places on the way to the plate, and as a hitter, you think you're swinging at a fastball, and you get that sweeper, and you're gone. Wheeler outdueled Zach Davies, who had 4 Ks in 3 innings, giving up 6 runs, and had these dirty changeups. Edward Cabrera had 4 Ks in 4 innings, giving up 5 runs. He did have this hammer curveball and vicious sinker, and he was outdueled by yesterday's best starting pitcher of the day, George Kirby, who had a career night with 10 strikeouts in 6 innings, giving up no earned runs and his trademark no walks. Kirby dominated mostly through use of his fastballs. He had 12 whiffs on his four-seam fastball and 6 on his two-seamer. Doing some high-level math, that's a total of 18 whiffs on his fastballs. He now has an amazing 11.83 strikeout-to-walk ratio and is giving up only 0.7 walks per 9 innings. Again, I've said he's Greg Maddux with about 10 miles an hour in velo, but even Greg Maddux and his command never had a season with 0.7 walks per 9. That is how crazy good George Kirby's command is. And he's doing it while touching 99 miles an hour with his fastball. I did this overlay of Kirby's two-seamer and four-seamer, and you can see just why he can dominate with only those two pitches. As a hitter, even if you're sitting on a fastball, you don't know which fastball you're going to get. And that two-seamer can run up to 18 inches arm side. I asked Kirby about the key to his amazing command, and this is what he said.
Yeah, I just tried to, repeat my mechanics as best as I could, with whatever pitch I was throwing. I think that was kind of the biggest thing. Being able to time up my body, working slow on the mound, in between starts, trying to really focus on, how my body moves through the whole motion. So just kind of focus on that, I think helped me a lot.
It's freakish though with George. Like, it's almost like he has to try not to throw a strike sometimes. Like he
had like 25 in a row last year, right? Or something like that. Strikes set the record.
Yeah, that was fun. That one,
that was
everything
fun.
coming out of my arm, just I kind of knew it was in the zone. Yeah, that was a cool day for sure.
Do you remember that time where you threw all strikes? That was cool. Now on to my filthiest relievers. Yonny Chirinos had this splitter for a sword. Drew Smith apparently had filthy hands and got ejected. There's got to be some objective standard for this versus his hands just felt sticky. Smith looked dumbfounded and even turned to his teammates for help. Like, my hands aren't sticky. Again, we have the technology to measure this. If we don't want to use changes in spin rates for an outing, can't we come up with a sensor that a pitcher touches and if his hand sticks to a certain level that maybe he's ejected? I don't know, but something. This isn't rocket science. Chris Martin had this splitter and cutter. I'd make a joke about his name sounding like that of a famous singer, but that'd be a cold play on words. That's just not punny, Ninja. Hogan Harris had this fastball and changeup. Cue the saxophone, Alexis Diaz had this nasty slider. Jimmy Cordero had this wicked slider. The human glitch, Jimmy Herget, had this 77-mile-an-hour curveball. Evan Phillips had this wicked sweeper. David Robertson had this hammer curveball and got this K when I think Cabrera just forgot what the count was. Lucas Sims had this slider and these fastballs and got absolutely fired up. Luke Jackson got 3 Ks on his fastball and slider. Michael King had this filthy changeup. Clay Holmes had this sinker and slider. Julian Merriweather had this changeup. Phil Maton had this curveball that had 3,143 RPMs. And my filthiest reliever from yesterday was Josh Hader for this combination of fastballs and sliders. And I did a couple of overlays so you can see why Hader can be so dominant using just 2 pitches. He counter-rotates, hiding the ball really well. And both his slider and fastball stay on the same plane, making it really tough on hitters. And now, my Pitching Ninja moment of zen. A big ninja hat tip to Oakland A's fans for the reverse boycott and this humongous sell the team chant.
Gets it back in.
What is up, everybody? My picks of the day today are a 3-leg parlay. I'm going to start out with Kyle Bradish for 5 Ks or more, and top it off with both Bailey Ober and Eury Perez for 6 Ks or more. What would your picks of the day be?